All right, we're going to be working on Unit 1, Lesson 3. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about domain, range, and function. So the first one is very easy. If you go on to Desmos, you can go back to the table, graph it, or if you remember, we're going to start at 6, put a dot, and because it's a negative 1/2, our slope, so we're going to go down 1/2. So if my point will work. Let's see. Over 2. There we go. It's getting a little bit bigger. And you can see we have our line going this way. Not perfect, but you get the idea. Can't exactly use a ruler on this one. Okay, so the inverse, we're going to switch the x and y. So we're going to switch the x and y, and we're going to graph it. So we're going to get y, whoops, sorry, we're going to switch it. X, let me make this a little bit bigger, just a minute. There we go. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Make it easier to write. So we're going to get x equals negative 1/2 y. I'm so used to saying x, sorry, plus 6. So we want to get the y by itself. So we're going to minus the 6 to both sides. We get x minus 6 equals negative 1/2 y. And now to get, okay, let's see. Sometimes if you touch the board, it likes to do that. Now, in order to get rid of the 2, the denominator, we're going to multiply everything by the denominator. And I'm going to take that negative with it because I don't want to have to do 2 steps. So I'm going to multiply everything by negative 2. So I'm going to get negative 2 plus 12 equals y. And when we're talking about inverse, this is a new one. Inverse, we're going to mark it with negative 1. Just means we've changed it once. This is called the inverse. You also might see it as f of negative 1x equals, oops, forgot x right there, negative 2x plus 12. And you can go on to Desmos and you can graph it. We start at 12, so it's a little bit above the graph. Here would be 11, 12, and we're going to go down 2 over 1. I always think the negative means you're going to go up or down, or the first sign up or down, but we always go to the right because we think we're right. And if there was no slope, we just put it over 1. And we can keep going, connect the dots. Not perfect, but you get the idea. All right, so these were domain. Domain are going to be your x values. So these are your x numbers. So no matter what, if I put in x in for either of these equations, I'm going to get an answer out. So this is called all real numbers. And they both are going to be the same thing. Same thing with the range. These are the y values, the y numbers. If I switched it over, I have a different value. So for every input, there is one output. And all the y's are different. So this is also going to be all real numbers. And then, are these a function? Yes, these are a function because if we did something called a vertical line test, so if we drew a straight line down, I'm only touching each of these different colored these different colored lines one time with my vertical line. So they are going to be functions. They are functions because they pass the vertical line test. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. So here, going to graph it. I know the vertex. Again, if you remember the last lesson, we take the opposite of this one, and the last number stays the same. So at 3, 4, we put our vertex. So this thing, that first number, basically is our beginning slope. It's opening down. We're going to go down to the left one, down to the right one, and it's coming down this direction. And with this one, the domain is going to be all real numbers because for every x, we are going to have a value for y. So all real numbers. Now this time, the range is the y values. You see, the y does not go higher than our vertex point. So we're going to go y, and our vertex point of our y value is 4. And all the values in that equation are below 4. So we're going to say less. And this one, again, is a function because it passes the vertical line test. Now, if we look at the next equation, we're going to switch the x and y. Oops. So we get x, doesn't want to write just yet, x equals -2 y minus 3 squared plus 4. And you can go back and practice solving these. I'm going to go ahead and solve it. And we're going to get the inverse is going to be 3 plus or minus the square root of -1/2 x plus 2. And remember, when I'm graphing, I'm only going to do the positive because we are restricting it. Okay, we talked about this on the last one. And if you go on to Desmos, you can get some numbers on the table, plug this in, it'll graph it, and our points are going to be, and remember our points are also flipped from our first equation. So our first one is going to be, it is 4, 3. 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be right here. Our next one is going to be 2 right there. And it's going to keep going up. And if I wrote the other one down here, that would not be a vertical line test. Now here, if we go through domain and range, now here, domain, these are x values. They stop. They don't go further when x is greater than 4. So it's all the numbers less than 4. And if you notice, it's very similar to that one. Now, the range, we could infer that it would be all real numbers, except that we limited this. So it's going to be all the numbers, all the y values, greater than 3, because we did go up from there. And then this one is going to be a function because we are limiting the graph. Okay, we're going to limit the graph to be only the top part. All right, good luck on this.